The Patriots put out a release site that said they'd begun extension discussions with Mayo. The deal isn't done, but it's close. There's also some offensive coordinator news in there that we will get to in a second. They will begin interviewing candidates on that next week. Bedard wrote tonight, Boston Sports Journal, this has Robert Kraft's fingerprints all over it and should be viewed as an example of how ownership has not and is not happy with the current state of affairs with the team. He said, I think addressing the offensive coaching was paramount, and they wanted to keep Belichick on a tighter schedule. I think he and the coaches were supposed to be on vacation next week. Someone thought otherwise. Let's roll, presented by Town Fair Tire. The offensive coaching thing, Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, I don't know if you watched last night, we had Ted Johnson on. And I think the offensive coaching thing, the key part there was we will begin interviewing candidates next week. And Ted Johnson and others have raised concerns that Bill's just going to slow play this, that he gave Robert Kraft lip service, that he was going to take his time, not tell anyone anything. Sometime in the spring, maybe have something, but not really tell anyone. We wouldn't know till he showed up in the mini camps, and that was not going to fly with Robert Kraft. Nope. We're starting the process next week, Bill. That's what I think that was.
So I'm inclined to believe you. I was until I drove over here and I made a phone call. And I was told that Bill and Kraft met today. They met yesterday. They met Tuesday, they met Monday, and Sunday after the game. So my understanding is that, yes, the Krafts have nudged Bill into this. We're going to release a statement. We're going to talk about 2 of the 3 things. For me growing up, it was no politics, no religion, no money. Okay, for Bill, it's contracts, it's coaching titles, and game plans on game week. But they did 2 of those 3 things in 2 sentences. And so they were in agreement on this statement. They both looked at it, put their stamp of approval, and they're moving forward. The coaches also, I will tell you,
but let's not act like this was Bill's idea, too.
No.
Like, this is never how he's operated, not how he wants to operate.
Why would Mike's right. Why would Bill Belichick, of all people, Bill Belichick agreed to do this?
Oh, I have the answer for you.
Well, I want to hear Andrew. Why do you think Bill Belichick was on board? Hey, okay, let's put out a statement and say we're going to interview an offensive coordinator and that we're going to sign Jerod Mayo.
Obviously, this was Kraft's doing. I think his point was, A, if we're going to do this anyway, what is the harm in putting this out there? Do you want Jerod Mayo back or not? This statement should help us get there. And if you want him back, let's do this. Let's have some clarity. Let's do this my way. Because under your way, the last 3 years, we are 25 and 26. And ultimately, that eats into Bill's leverage. And he could hit his button, the nuclear option of, we're going to do it my way or I'll leave. And that's just not the reality he lives in right now because of the record I just mentioned, 25 and 26.
That's what I'm telling you.
Because it's 25 and 26.
Bill's going to, he's going to get along because he doesn't want to start over somewhere else. He doesn't want it. He wants Shula's record, but he doesn't want to do it in Carolina or Phoenix. He doesn't want to start over somewhere else, Mike. So if Kraft gives him a little business and he nudges him, he's just going to take it because he's that close to the finish line. That's what I think. That's just my opinion.
All right. So I don't know how I feel about. I like my ownership to give me support. I like my ownership to be around. I don't like you to do the Jerry.
Time.
I don't like the Jerry Jones thing. Don't be too handsy.
Well, Jerry would have had a press conference today, and it would have been 2 sentences. It would have been 2 hours long. That's what we would have had with Jerry Jones.
This is more subtle.
Okay, what is it? Well, subtle.
It is.
This is the first time in 20 years I've seen anything like this from the Patriots. But what does this mean for Mayo? What does it mean for Steve Belichick? If Mayo's going to come back, is he going to be the defensive coordinator? Is Steve Belichick out as a play caller? Like, what do you think this means for Mayo?
It's really interesting because the title of the press release said Patriots to extend Jerod Mayo.
Right.
Underneath says we are working on discussions about extending him. So those are 2 obviously very different things. I think they're close enough to the finish line where they felt comfortable releasing this as maybe some way of public pressure. Obviously, ownership is very, very fond of Jerod Mayo. Obviously, Bill Belichick recognizes he is a great assistant in Jerod Mayo and maybe sometime his successor. But for now, it's a matter of if we want to have a better season next year, we got to keep him here.
For what it's worth, Bedard says, it's my understanding Mayo has agreed to an extension and they're just hammering out the final details. Okay.
So if he's agreed to an extension, do you think there was any shot, because we talked about this off the air, I think if you're going to interview with Carolina, if Carolina was really interested in Jerod Mayo, you got David Tepper, a guy like Jerod Mayo could charm the pants off that guy. He really could. And he could walk out of there. He could walk out of there with the head coaching job, I'm thinking. But do you think that Carolina was legitimately, genuinely interested in Mayo? Was this a Rooney Rule thing? What do you think?
I think so. I mean, I don't have anyone down in Carolina, but if you're in Carolina going like, what were we doing with Matt Rule? Why not go for a rising assistant we can count on to be here a while? I think if you're Mayo, though, you look at that job, A, It's the Carolina Panthers. B, you have a GM in there that
32, baby.
you have no experience with. You're 36. You're only on the up and up. So whatever came of these negotiations, he got something he wanted. That's how negotiations happen. If it indeed is settled, it could be a title. It could be more money. It could be both. It could be calling plays.
But he's going to stay just for more money and a title that if he's still there splitting time with Steve Belichick, then what's that really worth?
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
So I don't think he's going to be splitting time with Steve Belichick. I told you this the other night, Mike, that
What'd you say?
The best thing for Bill to do is to promote Jerod Mayo. It would send a powerful message to his locker room that the days of, kids and friends and cronies and the wrong people in the wrong spots are over. And Steve might be in the right spot, but it's just the optics of losing a guy for a coordinator title because the kid's blocking him is – I'd like to think those days are kind of over.
First of all, those days will never end. The NFL was built on those, and it will continue to go as we talk about Robert and Jonathan Kraft. Let me just point that out. But what sends a strong message to the locker room is saying, hey, we're going to bring in an offensive coordinator, give him an offensive coordinator title, and apologize to Mac Jones. Like, the last thing they need to do is be demoting Steve Belichick, who I think did a good job last year. They want to have 6, 7 defensive touchdowns? Or
they finished top 5 in scoring. They've done that 3 of the last 4 years. I want to stay with Mayo, though, for a second, because we talk about this like he has all the leverage in the world. He's got the Carolina offer, the Browns defensive coordinator job, which is probably a dead-end job. Kevin Stefanski might get fired next year. Then where are you? I think they look at this and go, Jerod might have some leverage, but that's not a ton of leverage. Does he want to uproot his family and go to Carolina, a decision that might not be made until 2 weeks from now when David Tepper gets off there? They say, odds are you're going to have to be here. If you're going to be here, let's meet in the middle. Here's something. I don't know what he got. He obviously got something, but that's how that got
Okay,
done.
I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going there. I'm going in. All right. So would he want to uproot his family to go from being some nameless, titleless assistant on Bill Belichick's staff, or to be a head coach in Carolina and get about 150% raise, at least, okay? It will double, maybe triple his salary. He didn't have to ask for permission when you're one of 32. So what's the draw here? Maybe you're the next guy. Maybe that's what. Maybe that is it. You're the next guy. We're gonna go. We can't stop you. The only thing that would stop me from a head coaching interview is the promise that I'm gonna be a head coach soon. I don't care if it's Carolina, even the awful joke clown Texans. If I get to be a head coach, that's an amazing position. One of 32, I'm going to take my chances.
I agree.
So if you didn't want to do that?
You know what's weird? You can't do – because of the Rooney rule, you couldn't do that for Josh McDaniels because you have to interview minorities. But can you tell a minority that he's the next guy? You don't have to interview anyone else. You know what I mean?
It's got to be an external minority. That's the only difference.
Right.
But I think the point about –
is that right?
Yeah, it's one external minority for coordinator positions, 2 external minorities for head coaches.
Okay.